Did you know that there's a scientific explanation for picky eating? Hey there, I'm Dr. Dave, and on today's Thrive in 5, I'm excited to share all about how to help your kiddos eat healthy. From about 6 months until 2 years old, babies go from putting everything they can reach in their mouths to being more cautious about tastes that are new to them. This helps protect them from eating anything poisonous. It's a pretty cool instinct, right? But it can also be a pain sometimes when later on, they don't want to try new foods, they don't like new textures or strong tastes, or they get upset when different foods even touch on their plate. Eating can be a common battleground for tug-of-war between parents and young children. Maybe kiddos don't want to eat their vegetables, or they refuse to eat new foods and seem perfectly content with an oh so nutritious diet of Cheetos and chocolate milk, right? They might complain about the food you serve them, or they just plain don't eat enough. Whatever the issue, it can come up a ton and it gets exhausting, right? So what can you do? Well, here are a few tips that can help. Tip number 1, remember that mealtime can be a struggle for most little kids. They go from getting to eat whenever they want as a baby to eating on your schedule. Then you ask them to eat what you want them to, but if they throw a fit or refuse to eat, sometimes you just let them have whatever food they want. It can be kind of confusing. Also, consider how tricky it can be for them to learn to feed themselves. They need to learn how to use utensils. They can't control their hands very well yet, so they probably spill a lot. When you add in all the strange foods they don't want to try and the pressure to eat them and them wanting to make their own choices, eating can be so frustrating, right? So try to be patient and remind yourself of how the situation might look and feel from their point of view. Okay, second tip. Resist the urge to insist your child try something new, clean their plate, or eat a certain number of bites. It can be tempting and may even work for a bit. But the more you push, the more they're probably going to push back. It'll just become that battleground, right? And in the end, even if you win, you may put some emotional distance between you and your little one. And they may also come away liking the idea of healthy food even less than they did before. So remember, not only do we want our kiddos to have a healthy diet, we also want them to have a healthy attitude toward food and a healthy relationship with you. Also, keep in mind that kids' appetites are going to vary sometimes. If they're having a growth spurt, they're probably going to eat more, and sometimes they'll eat less. Either way, how much they eat is usually guided by their appetite, not by how much you want them to eat. Tip number 3 is simple. Set regular meal and snack times. Kiddos' stomachs are small, and sometimes they may not notice when they're hungry, but they probably need to eat every few hours, and having a basic food schedule can help you make sure they eat enough. Next tip, number 4, has 2 parts. First, try to plan food choices and meals ahead of time. That way, you can make sure you have a variety of healthy food on hand. And second, consider involving kiddos in the planning and preparation process. For example, maybe at the store, you can let them pick out some of the fresh fruits and veggies, or they can rip up the lettuce for a salad. So having them help in simple ways can get them more interested in or even excited about eating a healthy meal. And tip number 5, offer choices. For example, you could keep the different parts of the meal served separately, and then instead of dishing up what and how much you want them to eat, try serving your kids an empty plate. If they're old enough, they can serve themselves, and if they're a little younger, ask them what they would like so they can make their own choices about what they eat. And if it comes down to it and they really don't want anything from what you've made, give them a simple substitute, such as a peanut butter sandwich and string cheese. And remember, keep it simple. No need to be a short order cook, right? And last tip, remember that kids learn eating habits and attitudes towards food from you. How you think and talk about food and what you buy and what you eat, it all influences them. So buying foods that are low in sugar, artificial colors and flavors, etc., that can help a lot. And if you don't have those options in the house, it's easier not to choose them, right? And at the same time, you don't need to demonize food or never allow a treat. Teach your kiddos to pay attention to how they feel after they eat. Food is fuel. So it should help them to feel good. And if they get stomach aches or a headache or they feel tired after eating, maybe it wasn't a food we want to put into our bodies very often. Now, you don't need to diet, live in extremes, or make food about shame or fear. Those will probably only lead to a negative attitude about food and healthy eating. So instead, try to cultivate a healthy relationship with food and provide a variety of wholesome, nourishing food options for the entire family. Alrighty, those are my tips for helping kids eat healthy. First, look at mealtime from your kiddos' point of view and remember that it can be a struggle. Second, resist the urge to insist your child eat what and how much you want them to. And third, set regular meal and snack times. Number 4, plan food ahead of time and get kiddos involved. And fifth, let them make some of their own food choices. And number 6, remember that you have a huge influence on your children's food choices and attitudes, and focus on helping them having a healthy relationship with food rather than living in the extremes. And before I forget, for more help on this and so many other tricky situations with kiddos, check out How to Talk So Little Kids Will Listen by Joanna Faber and Julie King. It has so many tools and stories that can make a big difference. It's awesome. I'll link to it below. So that's all for now. I'm Dr. Dave with another Thrive in 5 with parenting tips for kids 2 through 6. For the best relationship tips and happy hacks, visit drdavespeaks.com.